I'm Ryan Durbin from RD Ceramics, and I'm located in Southgate, Kentucky.
And I'm Becca Otis from Five Lines Pottery in Monroe, Washington. And welcome to Wheel Talk.
Hey folks, thanks for listening to Wheel Talk. We would love some more interaction with you all throughout this future episodes, and we would love to hear some listener questions. They may get on the episode.
Yeah, just submit them to wheeltalkpodcast@gmail.com, or you can submit them on our Instagram at wheeltalkpodcast. Thanks. We have to start talking. I'm just recording so that we're recording. Hi.
Hi. How you doing, Becca?
Have you met Becca before?
I don't think so.
We've met, but it
on
was
Instagram.
We've talked on Instagram. We've met, but it was not memorable on both parts. So it was like it was.
I want to make a joke about that, but we're already recording, so I'll refrain.
You can.
This might not be on there, so we got to do the soft intro first, and then we'll.
Yeah, no, it was during NCECA in Minneapolis, and it was during the room show.
Oh, then. That was the most
had
overwhelming event of my entire life.
You had you had so many people in there, and it was just. I felt bad for you, really. I literally spent half of that time outside because I couldn't handle how many people were in there.
Yeah, it was. I did not expect that because, I mean, like 99% of my selling of pottery has been online.
Right.
And, I mean, I've done some group, like the Boulder Potters Guild show, but you're not there the whole time. They have a table of people that check everyone out.
Checkout or something like that.
Yeah, centralized checkout. So when I was at NCECA and we did that room show and hundreds of people came in an hour and a half, I was like, holy fuck, this is outrageous. I definitely like selling online.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Not that I'm complaining. It was a great event. And I'm so glad it went so well, but
no, but it was literally
it
was an introvert's nightmare. It was an introvert's nightmare. And I don't know if you're an introvert, but I am.
I'm an introvert that pretends to be an extrovert, but I can only do it for so long before it all falls apart.
Yeah, I had to walk outside, and who was the guy who was selling the brushes? Troy
Bungart.
Yeah, Troy Bungart just came out and just chilled with me for like 25 minutes.
He also. Yeah, it was him. He showed up with a bottle of whiskey at the beginning.
Yes.
He's like, here you go. I was like, oh, it's going to be that kind of event, huh? Let's kick off this NCECA right.
I have a Hydro Flask bottle. It's red, and it's my wine bottle for all of my shows. It looks like a regular water bottle.
That's fantastic. I like that. I'll have to remember that.
Yeah.
Well, cool. I'm so happy to be on the show.
Yeah, you know what? I might use the recording from previously because I felt like I don't know.
Here's a little intro.
Yeah, there was some info about shows and being an introvert there that might be helpful.
Go for it. I'm happy to put that in there.
Who are you?
Who am I?
Who are you? Where are you from? And maybe how long have you been in clay or something like that?
Okay,
What's
let's do that.
your favorite?
My name is Curt Hammerly. I run a studio called Hammerly Ceramics. I'm outside of Denver, Colorado, about halfway between Denver and Boulder. And I've been doing clay for, I guess it's 9 years now. I can just count back from when I broke my neck because that was, I remember what year that was. And that's when I started clay, so.
Yeah.
9 years, wow. I didn't realize it was that long. I thought it was like 5.
I didn't realize either.
Or how long have you been selling
for the first 3.5, it was just classes. And then I became an apprentice. I've only been selling for 3.5 years. Yeah, I started my Etsy 3.5 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
How old are you?
34.
34. Okay.
Yeah. But things have happened quickly. I was actually thinking about it yesterday. Yesterday, I worked a full day in my studio. And then at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, my 2 new part-time employees came in and started working. And I started up my kiln, my automated gas kiln, and I went home and I kept working on stuff. But I was just sitting there on my couch eating dinner, and I was like, holy shit. Like, a year ago, I was alone in my basement pouring 5-gallon buckets of slip into a couple molds that I had. And now I have 2 employees that are making work for me as I sit here on my couch at home. My
Right.
automated gas kiln is firing itself. And a year ago, I was firing in a 40-year-old manual gas kiln that was half an hour away. So I had to haul all my bisqueware half an hour away, glaze it all, sit there for 10 hours and fire it in the gas kiln. And just the speed at which things have progressed in the last 3 years is staggering to me.
Is it scary?
It's fucking horrifying. Can
Yeah.
we swear on this show?
Well, we
Yeah,
are.
you
So
can.
we are now.
We
'Cause
have.
I've heard some parts of other episodes where people, particularly Becca, I think,
Yeah, it's me.
if I remember
I'm
correctly.
one without manners. Let's not forget that.
But yeah, it's terrifying.
So your business continues while you're at home making dinner with your wife or working on
As
some
of-
other stuff, or
Yeah, as of 2 weeks ago when I hired these new people.
That's awesome.
is that
I-
did you choose to kind of stagger it because of just so you can work on your own stuff in the studio and you're not overlapping, or so they have more freedom to like do what they need to do without feeling like you're there?
Yeah, so it's kind of multiple reasons. One of them is so I'm not standing here just watching them, because that would distract me and I wouldn't get anything done. And then they would also be like, oh my God, he's standing here watching me. So I wanted to avoid that. But then my brother works part-time as well. He works 3 days a week. And between the new employees and my brother, I like having time alone in the studio. It's when I actually work the hardest, is I'm
Yep.
the only one here. So, yeah. And also, okay, so third reason, we have 2 4x8 tables. And when those 2 tables are in use, there's no other place to work. We use those 2 tables for literally everything. We use it for
Yeah.
slip casting, we use it for glazing, we use it for photography, we use them for packing. So if the 2, Josh and Emily, are here and they're slip casting, you can't really do much else.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think that people
Unless you're loading a
sometimes-
kiln or something, or unloading
Exactly.
a kiln, but
And
that's
that's
about
what I
it.
did.
Right.
Yesterday at about 2 o'clock when they got here, I finished up my glazing and I started loading the kiln while they started stacking molds on the table. So just
I think
figuring out
that-
the flow.
Yeah, I think that sometimes people forget that business is so much more than the craft at hand. You know, it's,
Luckily, I enjoy it. I think
Right.
it's all fantastic.
I do too.
Marketing,
Yeah, I enjoy the
selling.
other part too.
yeah.
But it's hard to it's hard to jump though. It's hard to get to that jumping point, where it's like, oh, okay, now I am gonna hire these people, and now we have to make this much more because of it.
Yep. So we can go back to that. My overhead a year ago, like exactly a year ago, was almost nothing. It was
Right.
materials and it was my labor. And I guess paying the fee at the guild to fire.
Yeah.
But now we're actually an S Corp now, so we run payroll once a month. So it's my pay,
Good.
Greg's pay, Emily and Josh's pay, the rent, which for my 1,400 square foot studio is $2,000 a month, the electricity bill, the internet, all the taxes. We've got to a point where if we don't make like $11,000 in a month, we are in a serious problem. And that's
Yep.
crazy, because a year ago, if I made 2,000, life was good.
And
Right.
you've been in that scenario for how long?
2 weeks.
Besides before the employees, maybe. What
Before
was your-
that, we moved into this new studio last November.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we had a really
About
great
9 months or
holiday
so.
season. And yeah, so we've been in here for 9 months at this point.
Okay. So you had that overhead with your brother and everything up till then, and then COVID hit in like March. Were
Yep.
you kind of riding it out and seeing how what changed in the business, and if you
Yeah.
I
I
could
was
just drop
terrified.
something.
I was legitimately like pretty furious about it, because I graduated college in 2009, right when the recession happened.
Right.
And there were no jobs in architecture, which was what my degree was in. All the firms were just laying everybody off. So I was like, okay, well, I graduate college, giant recession happens, and then I leave my job at the university and start my own business and take on all this overhead. And 4 months in, COVID happens. Luckily, we have been having the most tremendous sales. Like our months for the last 4 months have been phenomenal.
That's good.
There is so much support for artists, and there are so many people just stuck at home shopping online that I was legitimately terrified that this was going to be like, it's over, it's done. But
Right.
instead, it's gone the opposite way. And aside from holiday months, we've had our best 3 months ever for the last 3 months.
Good.
What do you
Kinda
think is
stagnant.
the reason behind why you're still able to make the sales you are? Do you think it's your product? Do you think it's just people wanting to support small business, or
People that want to support small business, and then my philosophy of all of this, and I think what most people don't take as seriously as they should take seriously is the marketing side of everything. Is
Mm.
like it's a numbers game. The larger you can grow your following, a certain percentage of those people will like your posts regularly. A certain percentage of those people will go to your website. A certain percentage of that will sign up for your mailing list, and a certain percentage of that will buy something, and even a certain percentage of that will be a repeat customer. So the only thing in
big
that
funnel?
equation that you really have all the control over, well, I know a lot of people would argue with me, but the only thing that I think is valuable to focus on all the time, like, yes, you can do things to get people to sign up for your email list. Yes, you can do things to drive more sales on a short-term basis. But the thing that helps the absolute most, in my opinion, is just making that top end number as big as humanly possible, getting
Mm.
as many eyes on your work as humanly possible.
Yeah.
So
mean,
this
it's
is the
true.
greatest time to be a ceramic artist in the history of the world, in my opinion. We have more
Right.
potential to reach more customers and reach more people just to show what we're doing than ever before. And like, as someone who's very interested in marketing and thinks about this a lot, there has never been a time in human history where random people like you and me had access to limitless numbers of customers for free.
Yep.
Like if you had money, you could pay for TV ads, magazine ads, whatever you want. But I've only ever run like 2 paid promotions on Instagram, and that was only so I know Ryan teaches Instagram classes and social media classes. I've run a couple promotions just to see how it works.
Right.
So when I teach my classes, I can at least comment on it. But the ability that we have to do what we do for free is insane.
Definitely. And that's kind of the gist of what your NCECA talk was last year.
Yes.
Was about just
Was
utilizing the
that last
marketing
year or
and
2 years ago?
2019, right?
It was last year. It feels like longer ago because we didn't have an NCECA this year, which I'm still bummed out about because damn do I love NCECA. What a fucking good time that is.
It's supposed to be here in Cincinnati in March. We'll see if it happens or not, but
I could potentially never go to an NCECA again and be happy.
Oh, you're that much of an introvert.
Yes.
See, I can do the extrovert thing for like 4 days, and then after NCECA ends, I just go to sleep.
I mean, yeah, and I liked it to a point. I would have not survived had it not been for like Ryan and our friend Joe. Like at all.
Oh, that's funny.
And like people had known me because of like, I mean, not to the extent of like you, but people knew me because of Clay Buddies, and I do a lot of lives on Clay Buddies, and people like women were coming up to me like, "Can I take a picture with you?" And I was like, "Oh, I guess."
See, I lean into that. I enjoy it for the couple days that it is. I've thought about this a lot, and if you're gonna be some kind of celebrity, big or small, being a celebrity within a niche that has an has a event like this once a year,
Yeah.
where people recognize you for 4 days, and then you go home, and for the
That's
other
like-
361 days, you're just a normal human. That's
It is
all I
perfect.
ever want.
Yeah, that's the perfect
Right.
situation.
I mean, my wife wasn't always the happiest when like college girls were just running across the room yelling my name. My wife wasn't super happy about that, but I have fun with it. It's a good
Does
time.
she like joke with you a little bit, like Insta famous guy over here, Like, oh, let me back up. I'm the trophy wife. Like,
Only at Sika, and only because, man, I hope this girl doesn't listen to this, but only because this one girl walked up with her friend and she was like, "Oh my God, are you Curt Hammerly?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "And are you the wife?" And Tracy was like, "Excuse me?"
No. I'm glad you said that. If you are that girl, shame on you. Shame
She
on
did it
you.
completely innocently. Her friend that was with her turned to her and was like, "What the fuck?" Like,
Yeah.
instantly.
Well, I think that does bring in like a pretty good point to like when you meet somebody that you don't know that maybe in the public eye a little bit, they are still human, and I think that it's important to like to treat people as humans.
Some of the messages I get are just crazy, and they're like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you responded." And I'm like, "Are you serious? I'm just a dude playing with mud. Come on, Jesus
Right.
Christ."
because I guess they see the number and they're like, oh, well, he must be getting like thousands of messages every single day.
But
It's
do
not
you?
thousands, but sometimes it can be. The most I'll ever get in a day is about 100.
Yeah.
So with the following that big, I'm curious, how much time do you spend on Instagram per day?
Oh yeah.
Let's see what it's at this week. I actually remember. It's about 3 hours a day.
Wow.
Okay. So you've kind of figured out a place
But
where
that's-
it's diminishing, and then also like how many times can you answer the same thing over and over, because there's resources out there that people can go find it if they want.
Yeah. It's got to the point where I have to really decide which messages to answer. So if someone sends me a message of substance asking a question or something like that, I'll respond to it, and I'm happy to do that. I enjoy it. But yeah, it's a little intense, and not all of those 3.5 hours are business, because I have made a ton of really close friends in the clay world since I started. Some of my closest friends in the world I have met once or twice in Sika, and we just talk on Instagram otherwise. Yeah, it's a great tool.
Can I ask a question that's kind of unrelated? Where exactly, like not where exactly is your studio, but like in between Longmont and Boulder, where is it?
In Westminster.
Okay. Oh, okay. So not even between.
The
Okay.
other
Cool.
way, yeah, it's
The
between
other way.
Denver and Boulder off Highway 36.
Okay, perfect. I grew up in Loveland, so that's
Oh, cool.
yeah. And I was in Boulder all the time, and I went to Longmont Christian School. Like that's my spot.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
Were you working with clay back then? Did
No.
Stoneleaf even exist? Okay, never mind. So
No, I started working clay in college, but
gotcha.
yeah, and that was in California. So okay, that we can go back now. Sorry,
Do you have people that physically come to your shop?
Yes. Actually, a group of women showed up yesterday. A lot of times people will reach out ahead of time because I don't have any publicly posted hours.
Smart.
But 3 women showed up yesterday. We all threw masks on and started showing them the stuff, and they seem to enjoy it. Pardon me. Obviously, there's not a lot of people coming right now, but I do have. This really wasn't in the studio, but last summer when I was working out of my basement, during the summer, a lot of people come to visit Colorado because it's super nice here. It's a kind of a vacation destination. So I probably had 2 or 3 groups of people come through that were visiting the state a week, mostly teachers or students that followed on Instagram, and they'd shoot me a message and be like, "Hey, I'd love to come visit your studio." And I'm like, "Well, it's in my basement, so as long as you're not creeped out by that, you are more than welcome to come over." My wife was never a fan of me just letting all these people into our house.
Can't blame her.
Especially because I'm really bad at cleaning ahead of time. So she's much happier now that we're in the studio, but I live 3 minutes away. So if someone messages me and they're like, "Hey, I'm in Boulder for today only. I'd love to come by your studio." And I'm like, "Well, it's in Westminster. Let me know when." And they say 1 p.m. I'll just bounce over even if it's a day that I'm not working, but I'm also working almost every day. So when people come by, I'm usually here.
Yeah. Do you feel like when people come to the studio, does it break your flow, or do you like enjoy that? Is that something that is like great?
You feel like it's a deeper connection with the customers. It's like they can actually meet you versus just through a screen.
Yeah, I've only sold online, so it's a great way to connect with people. It did get a little tough during late November. People were in town for Thanksgiving to see their families, and they wanted to come by the studio. And in the meantime, Greg and I were in the middle of making, photographing, selling, and shipping 500 pieces in 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And they would come in and they'd want to talk for like an hour, and I'm like, I really need to glaze these, because if this kiln doesn't get lit by tonight, we're behind for like a
Right.
week and a half.
Right.
So I think there was one day in particular when I was trying to pack up orders to ship out, and 4 separate groups of people came in, and each one stayed for 45 minutes, and I was like, this is gonna kill me. And I was there until like 11 o'clock that night. So
So
happy
And
to
it's
do
hard to
it,
not be
but
and be like, do you mind if I work while we're talking?
and I have done that a couple times, especially if I'm slip casting and stuff is going to start like drying so much that it starts
Yeah.
cracking. I'll be like, hey, I'm going to start unpacking these and attaching these handles. Ask me any questions you want. Walk around, pick up whatever you want. Because yeah, I do like people. It's something that I miss from my old job. When I worked at the university, I talked to between 50 and 100 college students a day and
Mhm.
helped them with their projects and all of that. And I really enjoyed it. And then quit and worked out of my basement and was like, oh my God, I'm turning into a lunatic.
Yeah.
I can't be alone this much.
So maybe November this year is Hammerly's is closed.
It might be, because with the new
Just tell everybody
employees-
ahead of time.
By appointment only or something like that.
Well, our door does say by appointment only. This holiday season, I have some very, very lofty goals. So we'll see if we can make it work.
Boundaries.
Yes. But if all the COVID stuff is still going on, then I can't
Yeah.
imagine we'll have that many people pop in.
Yeah. I have a
Good.
question about the demand. So you got a huge demand for your work. Is it crippling, or is it like freeing to be able to make something that you want, that you know is going to sell, versus like pushing the boundaries and trying something new?
It's a mix. I used to get really filled with anxiety when I sold out a batch of stuff, and then 3 days later I was getting messages on Instagram like, I want to buy something, where can I buy something? And I had this mentality of kind of, I know it's a little different than this, but make hay while the sun shines. So the fact that people were standing in front of me saying, I want to give you money, and me saying, I don't have anything, it really made me anxious.
Mhm.
And I've talked to other artists about this, and they're like, oh, poor you. And I'm like, well, I'm not trying to complain. I'm just,
It's a
I
reality.
get you.
It's
I feel
a-
you.
it's a
On
stressful
a very
situation.
small scale.
It's all relative. Don't say that. I completely have let that go. That anxiety of keeping
You're a
people
human,
satisfied.
like-
Yeah, I'm like, because we had a sale on my birthday, which was 4 days ago, and I
Happy
had
late
people reaching.
birthday.
Well, thank you. I had people reaching out 2 days ago. Today, Wednesday. Yeah, Monday. I had 2 messages from separate people that was like, when are you putting up work? And I'm like, are you out of your freaking minds?
Is
I
it
just
somebody
put
that's
up-
not in the loop of like how
Yeah.
you work, or is it okay?
Yeah.
Because you have new people finding you every day, so
Yep. And we've tried to capture some of that audience. So we do pre-orders to try to capture, because the website gets a couple hundred hits per day, and most of the time there's nothing there for people to find. So we really wanted to capture some of those spur of the moment people. Like, they see the website for the first time and they're like, this is cool, I want to support this artist, buy something. Because before, our only value proposition was, and it's not even a value proposition, was like, sign up for our email list and we'll tell you when we have stuff.
Right.
So there's that. But going back to your original question, I don't feel like I can make anything I want and it will sell. This last batch that I did with this kind of completely new technique of spraying underglaze and then putting this microcrystalline glaze over it, it was so different than my other glaze work that the night before it happened, I was terrified that, like, because normally I'd introduce 15% new work and 85% glazes that have been tried and true and sold in the past. But this time I just went for it. And I did an entire batch of 200 pieces that was glazes I had never sold before. And luckily it went really well for the most part. It was slower than normal for sure, which gave me some anxiety, but
I like those ones better.
oh, I do too. I think they're fantastic. But this is also, it's something that takes a while for people to, like, if they're used to one thing and they
Yeah.
want to buy that one thing. But then there was also, where the heck did I put it? I've been showing my entire process for making my new 10-ounce mug.
Those are fantastic, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I have heard from a few dozen people that they're waiting for this one. So because none of these were in this new batch and it was just the other ones, I know quite a few people that didn't buy because they're waiting for the new thing. So
I
Do you
love
think
little
that
mugs.
Go ahead.
Those are the. Oh, I was just saying, I love little mugs. People love little ones.
I've had more feedback from other potters about this design than, like, I don't have a lot of other potters buy my work. I have some. I'm not complaining.
That's because
at
we're
all.
poor. I'm
No,
just
I'm
saying
not.
that.
I feel like I'm wording this wrong. Damn it. I'm trying not to sound
It's
like some kind of
okay.
conceited lunatic. I've just had a lot of potters, a few dozen at least, that have reached out and said that this is their favorite design that I've ever had. I even had this guy, Jonathan Kaplan in Denver. He is a older potter that was extremely successful in his career, and he really said he liked it, and that was I don't feel like that man gives out a ton of compliments, so that made me feel really good.
Did your heart burst a little?
Just a little.
Just a little bit.
Maybe not as much as when Seth Rogen commented that he liked my sculpture thing a couple months ago. That was a very exciting moment. I kind of believe it.
And then you're still waiting to see if he's gonna buy one or something.
We don't need to talk about that. It's all right. Maybe one day. They're still not as good as they need to be.
I think it's something to be said too. As potters, you're always trying to find your client. You know, you're trying to, and you found a client, but it is interesting how you're kind of like developing this smaller mug and how so many potters are gravitating towards it. I personally think it's the best design you've done, and
That's a good thing.
yeah, but I mean, like that,
it's better over time, hopefully.
Right, it does get better over time, hopefully, but it's cool when you like pass over that threshold, right? Like, of like, hey, like other potters really like this because of the of something specific, you know.
Yeah.
And that I feel is hard to do. You're either
honestly,
on the potter side or the non-potter side.
Yep. And that's kind of why I brought that up in the first place. Is it has made me tremendously happy to hear from other potters and say that they like the new design.
Yeah.
Because I with my following, I get a ton of people that are saying they like my work, but it really it gets you in a different way when people in the industry that are doing the same thing you are will come up with compliments. That's very exciting.
Yeah.
Plus, do you think the anticipation you've built up as you like document the process of what goes into this mug and the designs and iteration 1, iteration 2, do you think that just helps build the anticipation and the craft, like the appreciation for what goes into it?
I think that's one of the best things that I ever kind of struck upon was there's a lot of artists out there that are afraid to share their process because they don't want people to copy them. I go the complete opposite way. I think that it
that's smart.
gets people far more interested to see the process and to be completely transparent. Because I'll basically share anything. There's damn it, I can't remember her handle. There is a girl in India that is yesterday. She made her first silicone mother mold ever, and I had kind of talked to her a little bit before she did it, and saw it in her story and said, "Good job, that's awesome, you did great, like it looks amazing." And she was like, "Thank you, it's all because of you." And I'm like, that's bullshit, but that's besides the point. It's like that makes me so happy to have people reach out, because I remember when I was getting started and there were a couple artists that I reached out to and asked some questions about glazing or whatnot, and they were like, "I don't share that." I'm like, fuck.
I hate that so much.
It's a tough thing because there are people out there that I've seen that have had people copy their work,
Yeah.
and that would be frustrating. But
Just
I
be
don't know.
better.
I
Just be
really
better
like
than
this
them.
community. When
You
high
also have
school
so many
kids message
layers
me
to
and
your
they're like,
work.
when high school kids message me and they're like, my art teacher won't let me work with plaster unless I really know what I'm doing. Can you please give me some pointers? And I do. And then 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, they send me a picture of their first mold and they're like, my teacher let me actually do it. And I'm like, that's so cool. Because they were like, oh, Curt on Instagram told me how to actually mix plaster and do this because their teacher, for whatever reason, maybe has never worked with plaster before. So they don't want to get into something new in their class. So it's cool that, I don't know. I'm not as I don't think of myself as a teacher, but it feels good to share things with especially kids. It's fantastic.
Mhm.
Someone that
Definitely.
could some of these people that are getting started in their pottery careers a full decade before I even touched clay, it's pretty crazy to see.
It's amazing.
Someone will send me a picture of a 3-piece mold they made with a 3D print, and I'm like, wow, you're like 17. By the
Yeah.
time you're my age, you could just be annihilating me. It's
They
Right.
kind of a
probably
crazy
will
prospect.
be.
And
They
that's good. I
probably will
need
be.
I love the how do I word this? I love having people on my ass. Like
Mhm.
there's a handful of other potters that I follow just because I'm like looking at what they're doing and I'm like, are they gonna come up with something that I've never thought of? And I'm just gonna be like, damn it.
Competition is very good.
Oh, it's so good. But
Healthy
I mean,
competition.
it depends on your mentality. I know a lot
Yeah.
of artists that cannot handle it, and they have their idea, they have their work, and it's super precious to them, and they're going to be making that same kind of work for the rest of their life, and that's cool. That's what you want to do. But shit, I would love it if someone got. I mean, it's art, so it's not even competition. I can't say that like no one's competing with anyone here, but if I saw some kids pop up on Instagram with some stuff that kind of uses technology like I do, but they took it further than I have, I would start working so much harder.
And
That would
if
really freak me out.
if you're listening and you are a kid,
Yes.
there's your invitation.
Yes, bring it on because I welcome and I love the challenge.
Well, it's kind of like a motivation competition. Like you're competing with, what's driving you versus like sales competition with like I'm taking a sale from that person.
Yep, and the when I first got started in pottery with a local co-op, and they had 2 sales a year that they did as a group. That was my first introduction to selling pottery, and there were a lot of these older women who would go and scope out the other booths and see how much their neighbors' mugs were, and then they'd go back and they'd reprice theirs accordingly. And I just didn't like it. It was so toxic. Like
Mhm.
we're not selling wheat. This is not a commodity. You're selling your art, I'm selling my art. They're different. Why are you even looking at them with any kind of comparative eye? It's
Yeah.
just weird. I don't like that culture. So that's another reason why I really like selling online because I mean, even if the guild, I mean, maybe that guild sale was a zero-sum game. Like, we are only going to have X number of customers come through the door. They're only going to spend X number of dollars. So, yes, you are kind of competing for those dollars. But online, it's limitless. Just because Ryan gets sales doesn't mean that they're being taken away from anyone else or me or
Right.
it just it's not the game we're playing, even though some people think that it is. And it makes me sad because it's a toxic way to live.
That's true.
Well, I think that kind of relates to where people are like, oh, I don't really want to be marketing my stuff right now in the time that we're in during June and July because they're like, ooh, like there's more important things out there than me making
That's true.
money and stuff like that, or sales, or paying my bills and stuff. Like
Yep.
there's other people that are worse off.
And that's a tough thing to think about. But as someone who worked a job for a large organization for 10 years, uh, starting my own business is the most difficult and the most terrifying, stressful thing I could ever imagine doing in my entire life. I sat on my couch with a broken neck for 3 months, and that was not nearly as stressful or terrifying as running my own business, because if people stop buying mugs, my brother isn't getting a paycheck. That's messed up. I like psych a lot from like it was different when it was just me, and it was like my wife works as well, and we can cover ourselves if sales slow down. But now the way that I've built this business, luckily we have some savings, and I'm not saying we're like not well off or anything. We're doing just fine business wise. But the idea that if like when you thinking about this sentence of if people stop buying $85 coffee mugs, my brother won't get a paycheck. That's insane to me. Like I've built my business on this premise of selling very expensive coffee mugs.
Ooh, and they're not even that's the thing that I struggle with always is that pottery is not necessary. Like,
oh yeah,
that's the other thing. Like, it is not a necessity
the luxury
to own.
item.
Yeah, it's a luxury item to own an $85 coffee
Yep.
mug.
So when things are good, selling luxury items is a good business to be in.
Yeah.
Much better than selling commodities. Like you're never going to make extra money from that wheat you grew. It's always going to make you around the same amount of money, and you're competing with tons of other people. But if you're in a niche market selling a luxury item, the sky is the limit when things are good.
Right.
So, I mean, I've thought
Diversify.
multiple times, yes, diversify. I've thought so many times, like, if the sales slow down, how am I going to whore out the studio to make money? Am I going to start renting out corners? Am I going to start teaching classes? I am very, very worried about not making money. So.
Well, when you do, talk to me because I'll tell you what not to do. I'm very good at making mistakes.
Don't do what Becca does.
Okay. It makes me sad. Should we dive into that, or should
That's
No.
one of our taglines. Is don't do what Becca does, or
I'm just really great at making like failing, and I'm a professional failer, and but I think that's also one of the reasons why I've been successful doing what I've been doing, and my success is totally different than other people's success, what I deem as success. But yeah, no, I have the studio. My studio is 3,000 square feet, and it's $200 less than yours. But
Colorado's expensive, man.
you know what? I got lucky because my landlord's Greek, and so and it's like a mom and pop sort of situation. But yeah, no, I just I've done it all. I've
All right, well, I'll have to float some ideas your way.
Yeah.
I'll probably say something and then you'll sigh and I'll be like, oh, okay.
I mean, there's probably some ways that you could make some money with just. I know I've talked to you about this before, but like selling knowledge of like some things to get people started on Instagram stuff.
That's
Like
true.
there's ways that you can charge to do that.
Yep,
Mhm.
and I've dipped my toes in a couple different things over the past few years, and it's always come back to my most lucrative thing that I can do right now is sell expensive coffee mugs and everything else, the planters, the bowls, everything else is included, but that's just kind of the tagline.
That's your bread and butter.
Like,
yeah,
it's the for, I don't know how to word this. If I was going to dive into the education, like online video education for Instagram, for pottery, for anything like that, there would be this period where I have to do an absolutely outrageous amount of work for no return. And eventually it could grow into something that would pay me more than I'm making now, passively even. But up front, it would take probably at least a year of making no money and spending tons of hours on scripts and videos and all of those things. So
you could take the Simon Leach approach and just don't give a shit.
Don't give a shit about.
just
like,
document your stuff and put it on
production
YouTube, and then
See, I can't do that. I tried. At the beginning of this year, my Christmas present to myself and my Christmas present to the business was to buy a Sony A6400 mirrorless camera.
I have
And
one of those.
oh, they're so good. I
Or
love
I
it so.
have a mirrorless camera. I don't know if it's that one, but I
Oh,
definitely
okay.
have a very good
But I got
one.
this one specifically because it has a screen that flips around to the front. So
Yeah, I
when
have
you're
that one too.
filming vlog style, you can see what you're doing. So you don't have to worry about, oh, my face wasn't in the frame. I have to film that
Yeah.
again. So my whole thing for this year was I'm going to do YouTube and I'm going to do it in earnest, and then I'm going to start Patreon and I'm going to do all of these things, and I'm going to be okay with the lower production value. It'll be videos that are shot vlog style, and I'll cut them together and I'll share my information. And I think I released one video in January, and I was like,
Becca's
oh my
loving this.
God, even though it was the easiest editing and it was so simple, it still took me like 18 hours to make.
I have
You're
done the
like-
exact same thing.
Becca, you're doing TikTok now though, so you're doing some small video editing and
I
putting
saw
some
you on
videos-
TikTok, Kurt.
Oh yeah, I tried. It was like a year and a half ago, and I got creeped out. It was TikTok. I've heard
So
it's better
young, I
now.
guess, right?
I've heard it's better now, but when I got on TikTok, TikTok was a very creepy place, and I didn't like it.
John the Potter owns TikTok, and that
Does he
weirdo
really?
little, like, as far as ceramics goes, John the Potter, and then there's this weirdo little kid that can kind of throw, but not really. And
California boy,
what?
California kid.
Yeah, he like always throws without a shirt on. Also, that's what I hate about that is like, just take your fucking shirt off. And
Hey, everyone's got to work with what they've got.
I mean, you got to use your angle. John, I'm glad that you are attractive.
Oh, John is fantastic.
Yeah, he's great. No,
I wish I had his arms and his hair. Damn.
right? I mean, if I was a male, I would wish that too. But no, he's doing really well on TikTok, and same with that
And
little kid.
YouTube. I
And
was talking to him about YouTube,
he's-
and I was
he's
watching his
crushing it.
videos. One of the other things that kind of turned me away from YouTube in particular was, and I mean this in the best way possible. John's videos, his most successful videos, are pretty clickbaity. They're aimed at people that aren't potters, which you have to do because you have to attract a wider audience. And honestly, the videos that I want to make are just sharing the knowledge. But there's
Yeah.
there's no large audience in that. There's no
Yes, there
money in it.
Look up
I mean,
Tim
what's Simon
C.
Leach? Doesn't Simon Leach do that kind of stuff, or has been doing that for years?
There
I don't
is
know what
an
kind of
audience.
audience he
It's
has, but-
just a slower growth. That's what I've decided. It's
Okay.
just a slower growth. Because like Tim C, Simon Leach, they're all doing it, and they're not clickbaity.
How
You
are
know,
they monetizing it though?
I don't know, but
'Cause
Tim
I don't think they're making.
has like a really good following. I'll find him.
I'll
I mean,
I'll look him up.
I've seen Simon Leach have some ads on his videos. I know he used to not have that, but
Yeah. Yeah, I
But
mean, like,
either way,
It takes
content
time,
creation
though.
is a whole like there's a reason why the most financially successful, the most popular, all of those content creators, they don't actually make anything because it's almost impossible to make things and make content
yeah.
and not go crazy. Like I
I'm
don't know how John does it.
Yeah, I'm so impressed by John. Like,
Yeah.
I couldn't do that.
Because I watch some of these videos that he does, and I'm sitting there watching the whole video and counting how many different shots, and I'm like, wow, dude did like 70 different angles of the camera in this video, and they're all cut together, and I'm like,
Yeah.
Jesus.
He's got to be some sort of a superhuman. He has a child. He has a
two
business.
children.
He does pottery, and he makes like over 100 pieces a month. Like,
Yeah.
what the
Crushing it.
actual fuck? Like, maybe it's in his coffee. Maybe that's it.
Mocha Monkey Coffee.
Yeah.
A monkey.
What about the
Bro.
Kurt? You've been doing Instagram story videos of yourself and talking through the studio. How long have you been doing that for? Like a year or so?
Yep, because I did him in
Could-
my basement as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it seemed like you just started doing that.
Yeah.
I'd say recently, but I mean, since I've known you on Instagram, you've been doing it more recently than in the
Took a while
past.
before I could stand the sound of my own voice.
Yeah.
I remember the story where you were like, "Oh no, maybe what?"
I definitely
No.
did a story, and I was like, I really hate my voice.
Yeah, and you
drives
were
me
like, "I don't
crazy.
know if I should do this," but then everybody was like, "Yes!" And so yeah.
And
Are
they
you
work
getting good
great.
responses
Oh yeah.
from those stories?
Uh,
I feel like it's just a day in
Yep.
the life kind of thing. Like they can see what you're actually doing.
Yeah. The response to yesterday's was really, really good. I showed how I did the entire glaze process for the pre-orders right now. Got some more pre-orders out of it, which is
Nice.
dope. How do you argue with that? And then also, I threw a tip in there that I thought was pretty common knowledge, but before I dipped a mug in a glaze, I dipped the bottom third in water, so less glaze would go on the bottom third. And I probably had 3 or 4 dozen people reach out and be like, "What? What is this?"
I
And I
thought
was
that
like,
was
"Oh,
amazing too. I was like,
I thought that was
Yeah,
normal."
so it
incorporate that.
doesn't run as much. You can also
Yeah.
do it like my glazes don't run except for on the handles, so you can also like just do
Yep.
the handle a little bit
I've
and
set a
yeah.
wet sponge on just parts of the mug
Yeah.
just so it wouldn't absorb as
Yeah.
much. But yeah,
Awesome.
especially ones that just toss in tiny tips. Like I didn't even do any yesterday that really had a call to action that like respond to this or judge that or anything like that. And I still had over 100 messages from yesterday's stories, which bumps them up in the algorithm. So people really like to see, like, it's called a story, make it an actual story,
Right.
which I'm not always great at. Sometimes I do 6 different projects in the same day, and because of the timing, it's like 2 pictures from project 1, 1 picture from project 2, 3, and 4, and then back to project 1. And I've rewatched some of my own stories and been like, damn, this is shit. I really gotta
But it's at
focus
different
up.
times, so people could like watch the first 2,
Yeah.
and then they're checking back in an hour and a half, and they see some more different stuff.
Yeah.
See,
So,
you
but
can make
it's great.
your you can make you could go back to TikTok and make your TikTok just your stories. And then you don't have to do any editing. You just take the 15-second clips.
I don't know if
Boom.
I can do another thing. Facebook, Pinterest, and Instagram.
Oh, right. You do Pinterest. Talk about
I'm
that.
Pinterest too. Pinterest
Oh.
is fun.
Pinterest is so stupid easy. You just take the content from everything else and just post it. There's no hashtags. There's no comments. There's no messages. There's no engagement. There's no follow-up. You just post your stuff. And I didn't even know you could get followers on Pinterest, but somehow I have 37,000.
They follow
Holy
boards
shit.
and stuff. Do
So
they?
if
Is
they
all
just
your
follow
C-
one board, does it count as a follower? I'm
I don't
doing
know. I
air
feel like
quotes
every
right
time
now.
I
Does
see
it-
followers on there, it's like followed your boards.
Yeah, so I don't know exactly how it works. I don't spend a ton of time maintaining my boards. I kind of wish I did because I think Pinterest is probably one of the most powerful sales marketing tools out there.
Well, especially if your demographic is like
Yeah.
30 to 50 female,
Yep. So, which is 75% of my
right?
followers.
Which it should be
Um,
pretty much 75% of everybody's demographic.
Yep.
If you're selling a mug.
But Pinterest is great. I think almost 2/3 of the day-to-day traffic on my website is from Pinterest.
So
How do
all
you
your
figure that
CTAs
out?
from Pinterest go right to your website, right?
Yes. So the whole purpose and the whole method behind using Pinterest that I do is I just take my content from Instagram
Mhm.
and I just put it up on Pinterest, whether it's a video or a picture. I do a really simple description in the title, and then I link it to the front page of my website.
Okay.
And then the front page of my website, because for the most part, most of the month we are at very low inventory or we're sold out. So the very first thing that pops up when you get to my website is email list sign up. So my entire goal with Pinterest, the last
funnel.
episode was on email list. So my entire goal with Pinterest is to just get email list signups, and I would say I have 5,300 people on my email list, and
Wow.
I would say that almost 3/4 of them are from Pinterest.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Pretty crazy.
That's awesome.
So yeah, if you're out there and you're looking for more marketing channels, Pinterest is
Especially
the single easiest.
I feel like the videos of my like process making of throwing something or glazing or whatever, like that gets the most traction,
Oh yeah,
or carving or whatever.
videos
I-
on Pinterest are pretty baller.
I feel like I'm the only female in all of existence that does not have I think I have a Pinterest, but like,
Really? See, I used it a ton in architecture school, and then when I
Oh, yeah, I
started
could
in
imagine.
pottery, when I started in pottery, I would sit at my job and I would just make boards of ideas.
That's a good idea.
Ideas, glazes, shapes, everything.
Yeah.
I have a question about online selling. So being an
Uh-huh.
online seller, people can't physically see your stuff, so they don't know what to I mean, they know from pictures what to expect, but how do you make sure that that end goal of what you get in the mail is like the best experience and like meets their expectations and
That's probably
it's packaged the best way?
yeah, it's tough. We do super simple packaging. It's a brown cardboard box with a stamp on two sides with my logo, the HC, and then the other two sides, a stamp that says fragile. And it's wrapped up. We have our whole little shipping station back here that my brother built with our boxes and our packing materials. Okay, but back to your question. It was something that always stresses me out. I have had a couple messages in the past, and people are like, I thought this was red, and it turns out it's purple. Or I thought this was pink, and it turns out it's red. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. So now I have, beginning of the day, when I'm taking pictures, I white balance lock my camera so it doesn't change. I have, what the heck is that thing?
Is the
I have
white balance? I don't know that much about photography. Is the white balance just to get it true to color, what it actually looks like in the lens? Or is
yeah,
it for
pretty much.
consistency over like time of when you're photographing with the daylight changing?
With the daylight changing, that is a little bit of a problem, and I have a method. I don't want to get into that, but there is a method where I relock the white balance every like 10 minutes.
Okay.
But mainly, the biggest thing that I did that helped a lot. So I edit in Lightroom on my laptop, and I bought this screen calibration device.
Ah.
Which I don't know where the heck I put it, but it's this little thing, and it drapes over your monitor, and it has a piece of software with it, and it calibrates your screen. And I had no idea how bad my screen was, but like I can toggle on and off the calibration. And now when I look at, like, before I looked at my screen, I thought it was great. Now when I look at my screen and I toggle between the two, when I turn the calibration off, everything looks green. And it's just because every screen is different. I mean, I still have some problems because no matter how well I calibrate my screen, everyone is looking at your pictures on a different screen.
Right.
So it has to do with like your brightness and the color balance and all that
Yep.
contrast and all that stuff that goes
Yep.
into the screen you're
And the
looking at.
lights, like your
Yep.
lighting. Yeah.
Yep. So
And
I'm
that's
glad
why
you
I
brought
don't
that
sell
up.
online.
It's incredibly frustrating to have someone reach out after they've had one of your pieces delivered and they're like, this is not the color I was expecting. And I'm like,
How do you handle that situation?
I instantly, in 99 out of 100 cases, I instantly give them a refund when they send it back.
Okay. So you just send them a label or something, they send it back, or they pay for shipping back and then they get their refund.
Yep. It depends. It always depends on the circumstances of the individual situation. But I really truly believe in having a very high level of customer service.
Definitely.
The only refund ever that I didn't give, this woman gave me my only 1-star review on Etsy.
Oh, I'm so excited for this story.
In her review, she admitted that she dropped it in a metal sink. So her review said, it was beautiful, but not at all durable. I dropped it from about a foot high over a stainless steel sink, and it broke in half. And I'm like, are you out of your mind? And I mean, Etsy can kind of mediate those things, and they sent me a message, and they're like, you do not have to give this person a refund. They admitted in their review that they broke it themselves.
Right.
Because it's just so frustrating, because if she would have come to me first, we could have probably worked something out.
Right.
But
yeah,
I love people like that.
It's porcelain.
Right.
But
It's fragile.
I more love just like karma. Just fucking love karma.
So is there other materials in the box that you put in there for branding or getting return customers like
we
that?
have I don't go to the nines with it like some people do. I have a business card in each box. Just keep it as simple as possible.
Because you're shipping out. How many
Thank you.
things are you shipping out? Becca, you don't get an excuse. You don't ship as much as he does.
I know, but
That
still
doesn't matter.
no, but still, I put
I'm not saying you have to. I'm just getting
a
a comparison.
business card in, and I always feel like all those crazy people that like, not you, Ryan, but all those crazy people that like write handwritten notes and like
I do that.
all that. I know
That's
all
wild.
that crap, and I'm like, who has that much time? Like, nobody.
I will admit that when I order from another potter and it shows up and it is a legitimate experience opening that box and seeing everything that's inside, it's pretty cool.
It is.
But I believe, I hope that the experience of walking up to your house, seeing my package with my logo all big on the side on your patio, taking it inside, opening it, and unwrapping that paper to expose the pottery inside, I hope that that's enough for people. And it seems to be. We have a pretty high percentage of repeat customers, which is always mind-blowing to me.
And how many packages are you shipping out?
I ship between 200 and 300 a month.
Wow.
But Greg, my brother has completely taken over the packaging and shipping, and he can do like 180 packages in 8 hours. It's unreal.
Wow.
You need to talk to Graves Co. Rebecca Graves Prowse. First of all, she's
Rebecca Prowse, yeah.
freaking amazing. Second of all, she has a shipping station unit that is so fast, and it's so nice.
I don't remember the name of it.
Nice.
You could look back at the episode. I think it's episode 35 or 36 of our thing. We talked about it.
And I feel like you do enough to accommodate that, but you could probably go in, like, you have to buy pallets of paper essentially, but it's like
probably ask her for comparison.
An automatic crumpling machine. It's better than yours.
That.
No, it's not.
Better?
It's like,
it's not the RAM pack. It's
or
what is it? A Gemini pack? Is that what yours is?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it puts that
Hers
to shame.
is something else. I don't know what it is, but
so amazing.
We can't let Greg see it, or he'll make me buy one.
She mostly sells wholesale, I think. So
yeah, she sells wholesale.
Situation may be a little bit different, but
she freaking smashes.
I'll check her out because Greg and I are both very obsessed with efficiency.
Oh, yeah, definitely talk to her.
Well, so with so much packing, how do you factor that into your cost of item? Because if I'm selling something online, I pretty much price it the same as if I'm selling it at a show. I don't like up the price because I want it to look the same everywhere. How do you factor in the packing time and all that
I don't really
stuff?
Sell at shows, so I don't know. The way that I see it is it's either way you have expenses. Like at the show, you have to pay for your booth.
The booth and the travel and
the
time.
But honestly, I haven't sold at a show since the room show that Becca went to.
And your pieces are the same there as if people bought it online?
Yes.
And the shipping price is high enough to cover the shipping plus maybe 50 cents extra for materials or something? Or
no, I don't really think about that. I mean, each one of my boxes is probably 30 cents, and then it's probably like 55 cents worth of the packing materials. So it's less than $1.
Yeah.
It's like cost of doing business.
Yeah, it's just cost of doing business. Yes, it is factored into the price, but not in a deliberate way.
Yeah.
Because obviously,
you should put candy in your boxes.
Yeah. I don't know
candy.
about that.
How's that gonna let?
Everyone
What
has
kind of
different
candy you
tastes in
get?
candy.
Does it melt and?
I order from Bisque Imports for the paint your own pottery, and I know that they're gonna put a little bag of candy in there, and they always.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And I only like one of the candies in the bag, but I look for it every single time. Like if I get 16 boxes, I'm like, okay, which one has the candy? And I don't even like candy. It's just really exciting.
I actually have something to think about right now because the company that I've been ordering tea from for over a decade, they're called Adagio, and they asked if for the rest of the year through the holiday season, if in exchange for free tea for me, they would they'll send me like a huge box of samples, and I just put sample tea bags in every single order.
Whoa, that's awesome.
I can't.
They were gonna give you the samples.
Yeah. So I can't
people?
think that like customers would be upset by that.
No.
Like,
No,
would
some
people
people
think,
buy tea from like Sunrise Tea and they put it
Yeah.
in there. So I think she generally does it like wholesale. So you buy them for like $1.50 or $3 a thing, and then you add. So it's just an
okay.
overhead that maybe you
Yeah.
add to your price.
So
Yeah,
they
but are
just
they
want to
doing
give
it
me
for
like
free?
a couple pounds of tea for free for myself, and then they'll give me the samples to put in the
You
box.
literally cannot lose.
See, and that's
Yeah, if they're
like, I'm
giving it to
trying to
you.
think if people are going to think that I'm some kind of like corporate sellout.
No.
I'm not
Be
No,
the
making any
sellout.
money from it.
Be
at least
the
it's a tea
sellout.
that you drink and you've liked for 10 years.
Okay, but that's what they said, and I drink straight black, dark, strong Chinese black tea,
Yeah.
and that is not the majority of the tea they sell. From my understanding, is all the crazy herbal blends, and I do not like those. So I kind of want to tell them, hey, send me your most popular samples.
Yeah,
Right.
give me
Because
like
that's gonna
5
drum up
samples or something.
That's going to drum up more business for you than sending me the like Yunnan Noir that I drink super strong and dark
Right.
every day. There's
Yeah.
not a lot of people that just drink straight dark black tea constantly.
I do.
Well,
But
good. High five through the camera.
Yeah,
like,
I
hey,
thought that was a
sounds
good,
really
like-
good.
That's a great collaboration because I typically drink Bigelow tea because like it's super cheap and I love the just tea bags of Bigelow. So I like reach out to them, but I don't think I ever heard anything because I used to tag them all the time in my photos.
Oh, and they
But-
never contacted you? That's annoying.
No, because it's
This
like,
company-
hey, this is a niche market that people drink People drink out of
Yeah.
mugs and they're handmade. Like it pretties up your tea versus just having like clear glasses with tea in it.
Yep.
I
And
wish
this
I
is
could
one of
sell
those
wine.
situations-
I wish I
Oh,
could
God.
like send wine with my wine.
Tumblers. Yeah.
I completely forgot what I was going to say.
Has some
I'm
legalities
sorry.
with that. We were saying that was a good partnership. Did you have something like that would be a good collaboration?
It's one of those funny situations where, I mean, I'll argue all day that for the most part, the number of followers you have doesn't mean anything. It doesn't have anything to do with the quality of your work or how good your art is or anything like that. But in certain situations, it does buy you some clout because when I have 4 times as many followers as the tea company has, I can actually get them to respond to me.
You have some leverage, yeah.
That's true.
Which is
Maybe I'll
just
reach out to 'em,
hilarious. So okay, so maybe you guys have convinced me, and I'll
I
sign
think
up.
it's a great idea. I mean, plus you like that company. Like I always
Yeah.
see tag that company.
Yeah.
I don't know that company. I don't know if they're local to you or. I mean, there's
They're
so
not.
much
I
tea
just
out there that.
I started buying from them probably 12 years ago. Every Christmas, I buy my mom a bunch. I buy it by the pound. They send me pounds of loose leaf tea in giant gallon bags. It's fantastic.
That sounds good. I
The only-
found out that I'm intolerant to tea, and I was super
Really?
sad. Yeah, black
That's
tea.
horrifying.
I drink
I
tea.
think I might.
love
I just
it.
think I might like just not.
You don't
listen
drink
to
many
it.
hot liquids though, Becca. You
I
don't.
don't. I don't even know why I make mugs.
So you can
Oh,
drink
that's-
wine.
Yeah, that's why I sell a lot of wine glasses.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Can't argue.
The
with
only
that.
downfall I could see is for the people like myself that does not drink loose leaf that much. Like I
Yeah.
drink bag
Well,
tea 'cause-
no. I think that these people
convenience.
would send me the bags.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I don't think they'd send out samples of loose leaf because, yeah, if someone doesn't have a way to brew loose leaf tea, then they're kind of
It seems a
screwed.
little fancier for some people that are like, I just want a bag tea. I don't know how to
Yeah.
do this.
And I just buy it loose because it's cheaper when I buy it by the pound.
Right.
Anyway, we've plugged John the Potter. We've plugged the tea company.
Who else can we plug? I have a question. Maybe this is a plug for your website platform, but so you've recently switched off of Etsy after however many years of selling, and you're on Shopify now. How was that process? I think you're to a point where you could probably give some background on like where you were, why you switched, and like the difference and where you're at now.
Yeah, so we'll just start with the background. So I was on Etsy for multiple years. I loved it. Etsy is a fantastic platform. There are some things that I miss about Etsy. I miss their messaging system that's built in, and I miss their shipping. Their shipping was better than Shopify. So those are the 2 big things that I miss. The reason that I left Etsy is because they started a new thing that did not work for my business model, where they will promote your work across the internet for free for you. But if those promotions, and I don't know how much Becca knows about websites, but I know Ryan, you'll know about this, but their attribution model is if they click on an ad for your product, their IP address is tagged to them, or it's tagged to Etsy for a month. So if that person buys anything from you a month after they click that Etsy ad, Etsy gets 15% of that sale. And for new people, for people who don't like marketing, who don't like social media, this is a godsend, because you're taking a 20% hit on your sale instead of a gallery taking 50. It's amazing.
Right.
It's a great deal in my opinion. However, for me and for a lot of other artists that have our own marketing platforms, our own following, it's not good. I was talking to a potter recently that is thinking of switching, because she talked to a customer. They wanted a custom order of like $300 worth of pieces. She made the custom order. She put it on Etsy with a picture of their name. So it was like, just this one person is buying this. I'm making this listing just for this one person. And Etsy took the 15% and said, this is our sale. And she was like, are you out of your fucking mind? But because within 30 days, that person clicked one of the Etsy ads, they were counted as an Etsy person.
And you don't want to have to be like, hey, customer, can you get it on an incognito browser and check out with this so that it doesn't bucket? Like, that's too complicated.
You can't log into your Etsy account.
I would totally
have
do
your
that.
Stuff.
Go on an adventure.
For me, before they actually made it live, they gave tools to some of the larger sellers, as I understand it, that kind of said, hey, we're not doing it this month, but next month, 8% of your sales are going to have this 12% for larger sellers, 12% fee taken off instead of 5 that Etsy normally, or on top of the 5 that Etsy normally takes. And I was like, are you kidding me? There is no way that with my sellout.
Wait, I didn't understand that math there. Normally it's 5, right, on a sale.
Okay, so
they take 5.
And then if they bring you the sale, they take an additional 12 to 15 based on your sales volume. If you have higher sales volume, they only take 12. If you have lower sales volume, they take 15. So let's just go with 15 and adds up to that. So 8% of my sales for that month would have had an additional 15% in fees given to Etsy.
8% of your sales for that month. So what would that equate to mathematically?
We can just make it easy. Let's say that I sold $10,000 worth of stuff. So $800 worth of that stuff would have an additional 15% taken off. So it would be an additional $120. Doesn't seem like a ton. I hope I did my math right. Someone's going to listen to this and be like, that fucking clown. But
I totally just blocked out the math.
My brother's going to listen to this and be like, you're a jackass, man. So out of $10,000, they would take an additional 120, which doesn't seem like a ton, but
But you have a lot of overhead, so all those percentage points add up.
That I wanted to leave. Etsy doesn't let you collect email addresses from customers. It doesn't let you do a couple other things. Right. So while I liked Etsy, I feel like I had outgrown it. So we switched to Shopify, and right as the COVID shutdowns were happening is when Greg and I talked, and he's like, I'm not going to come into the studio for 5 weeks. And I was like, well, I still want to get you hours. I still want to get you paid. So let's make this the time. Let's pull the trigger and do it. So he spent 5 weeks, like 24 hours a week, for 5 weeks, building out the Shopify site, getting us the add-ons we needed, getting everything set up. And I am extremely happy with how our website is running.
What? How are you doing accounting? Are you doing QuickBooks? What's the?
Yep. I'm actually, I think I'm still an ambassador for QuickBooks Self-Employed. I think so.
What does that even mean, an ambassador?
If I get someone to sign up for
link?
QuickBooks, kinda, yeah, basically. I put a link out. I gave up promoting it on my Instagram because I just didn't care enough.
Well,
but if someone signed up for QuickBooks Self-Employed with my link, QuickBooks would pay me $50.
Huh. So, wait, are you using Self-Employed?
I am.
Why?
but we are kind of okay. So I don't know why QuickBooks does this. We're getting really into like some details here, but QuickBooks, the
Becca
full
uses
version of
QuickBooks, so
QuickBooks is a little bit more expensive, and it also doesn't have some of the really simple functionality of just snapping pictures of receipts, right? Can you do that now?
Yeah, you can, but also you be careful because QuickBooks Self-Employed can fuck you over, too.
How so?
It's well, I don't know how your taxes work there, but when I started on QuickBooks Self-Employed, after coming from FreshBooks, this was a couple years ago,
Uh-huh.
and the taxes, like in Washington at least, you have to have. This might not be an issue for you because you do only sell online, but I sell in a lot of different areas, and you have to have a lot of different taxes, and it didn't let me itemize what taxes were being used where. And like even now,
Oh, yeah.
so
for paying out your sales tax and stuff.
right, so yeah, paying out my sales tax at the end of the quarter. It's just regular QuickBooks seems to be a lot more intuitive. Yes, it's not doesn't have those like nice things. It does hook into Etsy, which was a really nice thing.
And
Which
it doesn't
then
hook into Shopify, which is a huge bummer.
and it doesn't really hook into Shopify when it's a like the full QuickBooks either. The only one that really hooks into QuickBooks is Weebly, actually, because Weebly is connected to
Yay.
Square. And
Is that the company you work for, Ryan?
No, that's what I use for my website. I like
Oh,
Weebly.
yeah, but Weebly is connected to Square, and Square is connected to QuickBooks, and they're fully integratable if you actually know what you're doing. If you don't, they can also screw you over too.
Yep.
But
Taxes
yeah,
are such-
taxes are such a pain. So I would really, especially before you move into full on Hammerly ceramics, overhead, all the things, I would really research regular QuickBooks versus, and then
So I'm gonna reevaluate it this year, but my accountant told me it was fine. Like
yeah,
he,
and I
he
mean
logs into
that's
my self-employed, he pulls what he needs. I only have to pay sales tax for my county and the state.
Yeah,
Because I
so
I don't sell in a bunch of different places.
and if that's that's better too. That's good as well. But just remember that as you I'm like trying.
So much fun.
I'm not trying to give you like advice, but because my advice is questionable anyway. But
I've been accounting for that.
but like I have a bookkeeper and an accountant, and my
Oh.
bookkeeper takes care of all my books, and then my accountant goes in at the end of the quarter. But the bookkeeper is what's kind of like keeping it squared off. And if you get into wholesale, if you get into retail sales there and then online, and the way that you're working through that, you want to be able to be like
Integrate them all
cohesive
together.
and integrated as possible. Shopify will connect to QuickBooks, but it's not great.
Yep, I tried
That's
that.
why I
It
didn't.
was
That's why I
not
didn't
great
go
at all.
through Shopify, is because I wanted the fluidity that Square has, and I use that in my store as well. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, but just make sure you're like, if you get to a point, it's better to pay for a bookkeeper to make sure
And
that
I've been
everything's
avoiding
right.
the bookkeeper so far because I've just been doing the bookkeeping myself.
Yeah. You're probably doing something wrong. I like.
Probably.
I say that
go to
with the.
jail.
Bro, I
I'm
had to
learning.
fix something. I had to fix something that was backed up 2 years from me doing something right. Yeah, like the and like a bookkeeper almost couldn't even figure it out. but so just once you start earning a certain amount and once you start like doing things, it's really a bookkeeper and accountant are your top two secret weapons, and they are worth the.
Oh yeah, the
money.
accountant. My tax liability this year was so much less than I thought it was going to be because we hired an accountant. Fantastic.
That's great. So what other benefits do you have on the website versus Etsy that you didn't have? I know you're kind of missing some of the back end stuff
Yeah,
that
we
makes
have
it nice.
we have the email list integrated. We also have the ability to do abandoned cart.
Ooh, so it like
emails.
sends them something
Yeah.
when they leave.
Yeah, so in the last 30 days, we've got 10% success rate on abandoned carts. So people put something in their cart, probably a pre-order, and then they leave, and then 3 days later it sends them an email that says, hey, you left something in your cart. Come on back if you're ready to get it. Or I actually don't remember what it says. Greg set that up, I think. And it sends them that email, and 10% of those people have come back and purchased.
Nice.
So that's pretty amazing. The analytics that we have access to, Greg did the coolest thing. I don't know if you saw this in my stories. So Greg pulled the Google Analytics data from the 48 hours of the preview,
Mm-hmm.
and then he took it. I don't even know how he did it, but he made this HTML page that was just every picture from the preview. So every item, one picture. It scaled them based on how many views each one had, and then it listed them by size. So
that's cool.
You go to the HTML page that he sent me, and you open it, and the biggest picture on top is the most popular item in the preview that was viewed.
Oh, I
most
saw that
times.
one, yeah.
And then it gets smaller and smaller and smaller as it goes.
Yeah.
And that was one of the most novel ways to interpret that data that I can think of, because all we're looking for is trends of what's the most popular, to know, hey, maybe next month we should make some more of these, or maybe we should never make this again. Like if it doesn't get any views and it doesn't sell, probably not making any more of those. So
does
that
it
was
do
cool.
it? Does it factor in with like you have 70% of the listings are mugs, so overall your mug might be the highest number because there's so many mugs anyways to look at, so
Yeah,
it's
we're
not
just kind of
surprising
interpreting that data based like visually. Like we know that the bowls, we know that the planters are going to be lower on the list, but we still want to know which one of the bowls is the top out of all of them. So he can spend the time to break it down into just bowls, just mugs, just pipes. I haven't had him spend the time to do that because we don't need that data that much. And honestly, the crazy thing right now is we're getting more organized. Things are running more smoothly as we get acclimated. I have the next couple months kind of planned out sales wise already. Like the video of this isn't going up, right?
No.
Okay, so I have some things that I haven't shown on Instagram.
Oh, that's
yet.
it. Let's see it.
And so don't say what it is, because these are still top secret.
Dude,
I don't know if you can see it that well.
Dude.
But we're gonna do this with a couple different colors.
I am down for this. I'll try to buy that.
My wife has already claimed this one. She's very, very excited about this. But
Let's make
we're gonna
another
do
one like
probably
Do you make the names up for all these colors that you randomly come out with? I'm not gonna name what I think it looks like, but
every now and then I make a post on Instagram asking what people think the name should be. And those posts do pretty well, and a lot of those names stick, but I have way too many different combinations to name them all. And then the other thing is
I love that we're doing this and nobody's gonna know what.
I know,
there.
I'm a jerk.
Well, they're gonna know
like
by
the
the time it's
best.
released.
I need to keep talking because people are gonna be like, this is boring. But this is the other thing. We're gonna do it as a anniversary of moving into the studio kind of thing. So it's a matte, super silky matte glaze, and then it has gold luster.
Ooh,
That's fancy pants.
Just there. So
little tease out there. There's some gold.
A little tease. There's some people might be like, oh my god, he talked shit about gold recently.
I was just thinking that because I feel the same way actually.
But if you use it sparingly. But anyway, so that's going to be a pre-order probably in September, and then in November 1st, the anniversary of moving into the big studio, we're going to do a big launch of those other ones. So, and then next month, I've never done anything like this before, so I'm kind of scared, but we're actually the new mug design, the 10-ounce one. The next collection on the website is going to be exclusively those. So we're going to make 200 of those mugs, 50 of them as cups without handles, and then 50 of them as planters in probably 2 to 3 dozen different glazes.
Can I tell you a story really quick?
Yes. Is this one of the Becca fail stories?
No, kind
Oh,
of.
okay,
No,
okay.
not really. Not really. We have plenty of those, but the the new mug that you have, it's really small. And I have a friend on Instagram, and her name's Victoria. And oh God. Anyway, moving on.
I was like, did you see a fly or something? I just saw your
No, I
eyes.
was
Like,
just like, what if I got her name wrong? No, Victoria Troom. and 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 I got a little tiny mug from her, and I was like, that mug is perfect. And she's like, it's garbage. And it was a seconds mug, and so I ordered it, and I got it. I was like, this is the most amazing mug because it was so tiny. She's like, it's garbage. So from now on and always, little tiny mugs to me are tiny perfect garbage mugs.
Tiny perfect garbage.
They're TPG mugs.
I don't know. It might be too close. We already have a Greg's hot garbage collection.
Yeah, but anyway, I just had to tell you because every time I see you with it, I'm like a tiny perfect garbage mug.
Tiny perfect garbage.
So now
I like
I make TPG mugs as well now.
I like that. I like that a lot. That's pretty good. TPG mugs.
TPG mugs.
Oh Jesus.
So here we are.
Yes. So I have things planned out. Pull some data from the website to kind of inform that. We couldn't really get that information as much from Etsy.
Yep.
Especially, shit, I'm completely glossing over the biggest. I put it out of my mind because it bothered me so much. But the biggest reason why we switched from Etsy to Shopify is before Shopify, I was doing a preview of all the pieces on my website, on my Squarespace site. And then the sale actually happened on Etsy. And it was the most clunky, horrible.
Oh,
Oh, it was
confused.
just disgusting. And now, through the magic of Shopify add-ons, Greg just puts up all the listings so they're ready to go, and then a little button over the add to cart button that says coming soon, and
Yeah.
it says what day and time they launch, and it's so much better. So much better.
nice. And you don't have to do that on every single listing. It's like a
It's,
one fell swoop of everything in the
yeah,
shop.
so I think he goes into so this is one of those things that's so funny about I've actually started completely passing some things over to my brother, which is a weird feeling because for the years that I've been doing this, I've been in control of everything. Even if he helped with something, I still knew as much, if not more, about it than he did. But with the new Shopify site and how everything is running, Greg is getting more and more buy-in to the company because he is running sides of it that I don't have any involvement in.
Yeah.
Which is exciting and
Nice.
terrifying. Gives him some more leverage over me as a boss, but
Yeah.
luckily, him and I both have the same vision for the company as of right now. That will at least keep us on the same page for the next couple of years.
That's good.
So I don't think he'll go rogue for a little while.
Nice. And what's that long-term vision? Or at least
Long-term
short-term,
vision.
long-term.
It's funny because we've just started hashing it out at the beginning of this year. We were in the studio. The holiday season was over. Things were really kind of winding down. And honestly, I was having, for the first time in ever, I was having this problem where I wasn't as motivated. I wasn't like churning out work. I wasn't excited about trying new glazes. I just didn't have this motivation because we had accomplished all of our goals and we hadn't set any new ones yet. So we started talking, and I immediately started complaining about rent because rent is terrible. And I hate paying rent, and I hate having a landlord. It drives me out of my mind. So right now we're in this 1,400 square foot studio. We have 2 years left on the lease. And the plan, we have set an area of Colorado. We're not going to be leaving Colorado because everyone's family, my family's here, my wife's family is here, Greg's in-laws are here, everyone's here, so we're not leaving
Also,
Colorado.
it's the best state. Let's be real.
Pretty great, but it's also kind of insanely expensive. So we're
That's
looking
true.
for a property that's 1 to 2 acres, is subdividable. So the idea would be that I buy the house and the property. We build a 2,000 square foot steel frame studio in the back. And then get that all built out, and when it's ready, there will be this day where we have a forklift and a flatbed truck come and pick up everything from the studio, including the kiln in the back, and we transfer over to the new studio, and that will be the forever studio. Is studio that's on the property in the back, and then the property is subdividable, so Greg and his wife can we can split up the property and they can build a house right next door, and then we'll have a garden in the back and an outdoor kitchen with a hopefully Hammerly Ceramics designed and built pizza oven. We've talked about
Nice.
doing that, like
Pizza's a
slip
staple.
casting our own bricks for the pizza oven, designing the whole thing ourselves, and then build a greenhouse. I've always wanted a greenhouse. The money for the kiln actually came because I had been saving for years at my other job to build a greenhouse in my backyard, and the kiln trumped it because the kiln can actually make me money. The greenhouse was just for fun.
Yeah.
But the greenhouse will happen, so we will be in that new studio. And
Does the studio need to be in should it be rural? I feel like you could get some really good tax breaks up in Larimer County.
so we're yeah, probably could. And maybe we need to expand our field out a little bit, but because of where our families live and we don't want to go too far from them, we're
Yeah.
looking in the area between Arvada and Golden.
Oh, okay, that'd be good too.
So it's West Denver, kind of a little bit north of I-70.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of plots of land that are 1 to 2 acres out there that we found
sure.
already. So
Lots of rich
basically
people
just-
live out there that nobody knows about.
yeah. So basically trying to find it. I pay myself basically the bare minimum that I possibly can to pay my mortgage, my health insurance for me and my wife, and food and all of that stuff. I live very frugally. This is the first colored T-shirt I've worn.
I'm like, what the hell? This is not the Hammerly uniform. What is
no
this?
clay work. No clay work is happening today, so there's no white T-shirt.
I did
But-
not realize you only wear white T-shirts.
You've never seen his stories? He always wears white T-shirts.
I mean,
have
I guess I
stacked,
just
like,
don't care
30
about what color T-shirt
cheap
you
white
have.
T-shirts at home.
It's like the uniform.
Yep, it's the uniform. I tried so hard to get used to the Carhartt overalls. Greg wears them every single day, and I cannot stand the
I
overalls.
tried.
They drive me out of my mind. It was such a fantastic aesthetic, but I just can't do it. It's uncomfortable.
That's hilarious.
That's
I
funny.
love it.
Don't you
So
think
that's
it's
the plan.
Don't you
do
think
a
it's
bit-
just great that that's an option, that you're actually an artist and you're able to plan like that big of dreams for the business that
Yeah.
wasn't even a thing 2 or 3 years ago?
Oh yeah, and I mean, don't get me wrong. This is the goal, and this is the dream. We are miles away from it, but we are
Right.
saving every single penny we possibly can to go towards this. And as all of my plans, I know that as I tell my plans, sometimes people can be like, "Who the fuck do you think you are?" But you got to plan for the best possible scenario and then work off of the hurdles that come
Yeah.
your
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, we got to find a way. We're hoping that in like a year and a half, some crazy foreclosure goes up, some older couple that passed away and the kids don't want the property or can't pay for it, and it's foreclosed on, and we can swoop in and get it in an auction. Not that saying that I want anyone to pass away, but
But if they
Colorado-
could, that'd be great.
Colorado is pretty insanely expensive property-wise. So if we can get a property for a little cheaper than normal, it'd be neat.
And that's why you're
For
saving
sure.
a bunch of money over time so that you can have the income
as
and
long
the
as I
money
have-
to drop on
As long
something
as
like
I have
that.
the income that I can get the mortgage for the property, I would like to have the cash available to build the studio. That's the goal, because mortgage money is cheap money.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense to people.
Interest.
Is that because the interest rate's so
and-
low?
Yeah, the interest rates on the mortgage are cheaper than, like, if I took out a business loan to build my studio, like if I took $100,000 to build my steel frame studio, the interest rate would be way higher than a mortgage.
Right.
So we're saving up the cash to build the studio cash, and gonna leverage leverage the my own equity on the actual house and the property itself. But it's insane to think about, and I don't mind sharing numbers. Colorado's expensive. My house is $1,900 a month for the mortgage, and my studio is $2,000 a month. The way that I see it is, if I took that $3,900 as a mortgage, that gives me leverage for $1 million property.
Right.
So
Whoa.
anything that we buy that's less than $1 million will actually save me money over what I'm paying right now.
Right. Yep. That's the thing, right? When I bought my studio, my mortgage was $1,200. My studio was $1,800, and I went up to $3K, and I was like,
Yep. And you're like, what?
like what? Like, a lot of my friends have really, really nice houses, and their rent was less than both of them combined, you know?
Yeah.
And it's a lot. Okay, I have a question. Because yesterday, was it yesterday? I don't know. Ryan sent me a thing from East Fork ceramic. You know East Fork pottery?
Absolutely.
Yeah, everybody does, because they're amazing. It's amazing how they have grown in the past like 5 years, especially with the technology that they're using. Is that something that, and everybody's different, right? Like, I don't ever want technology that will like take over my hand builtness, right? But, or not necessarily, but is that something that you would like, if it came to a point where you were like, hey, what if we got all these machines and they were self-automated? Would that be something that you would want to do, or did you, or is there a cap? Does that make sense?
So my goal and my dream, I do not want to be Heath. I do not want to be East Fork.
Mm-hmm.
I want to, the way that I see it is that, especially right now, the functional ware pays the bills. The mugs, the bowls, the plates, all of that stuff pays the bills. If I can make enough of that in less than the total hours that I work per month, then I can spend the extra time working on some of these giant 3D printed sculptures. I would love to sell a couple high-end, like multi-$1,000 art sculpture pieces a year. I would love to have a solo show in a gallery sometime. I just need to actually get the kind of work that those people are looking for. I would love to be in the Cherry Creek Arts Festival, but they will not accept me with my current body of work. It's just not going to happen.
Those stingy bastards.
Well, it's fine.
No, I'm kidding.
They want it to be a high-end art show, and I respect that, because I love the Cherry Creek Arts Festival.
No, it's amazing. It is.
So especially when we get into this new studio, like I said, 2,000 square feet. The kiln will probably be in a small room next to that, because we want to make the studio as quiet as possible. We want to have the air compressor outside. We want to have the vacuum system outside running through. Greg is a creative boy, and it's going to be a pretty damn cool studio. But I don't want to expand past that. I want to have this 2,000 square foot studio. That is the studio for the rest of my life. And whatever we can do inside of that space, that will be our limit. And then the goal, honestly, in my mind right now, and this could change obviously, but the goal right now is that once we get into that forever studio, the work we're making, still living frugally as ever, paying off the property as fast as we possibly can, so that when this is going to be the really ambitious thing, but when I'm 50, the property's paid off, and I can literally make whatever the hell I want in whatever quantity I want. And I don't have to worry, shit, did we make enough money to pay the bills this month? Because, I mean, you can only work as hard as I'm working right now for so long before you're an old man and you're like, shit, I didn't save any money.
Right.
Or burnout, by the way. Don't forget that, burnout. Because that'll happen in 3 years.
Yep.
At that pace.
And that's one of the reasons why I brought on some part-time help.
Totally.
To help with some of the things that are wrecking my body. But that's my goal. I don't want to be Heath. I don't want to be East Fork. I talked to some people that own big studios like that, and I'm like, do you ever make anything? And they're like, no.
Yeah.
I manage people, I manage the business. And I'm like, ugh, I don't want to do that. I mean, I'm already into it. I manage my brother, I manage all the bookkeeping, the taxes, the 2 new employees. But my goal is by the time I'm 50, I can make whatever I want, take as much time off as I want, even though that's not going to happen because I am a complete workaholic. But yeah, I want to have the facilities to make whatever the hell I want. Like I want to wake up in the morning and be like, I want to make this. I want to try raku today. I have a little raku kiln out back. I want to have a wood fire kiln on my property. I just want to have all of the pottery things. So as these ideas pop into my head, I can just execute, keep learning forever.
Write that down and stick to it. And if you're having issues, just remember, come back to this episode and listen to that over and over again.
I will.
Yeah, definitely.
Keep those. That's the number one thing that I'm learning and that I'm trying to strive for is, and I'm coming to a head with that right now with my studio and everything like that, is that money is not always the reason you should do something. There's always another way to do something. Like, there's always another way to make money within the path that you have chosen. Yep. And staying within that path is so important. Yes, the path can be changed, but it shouldn't be because you have to make money. You have to do something. It should be because you want to. And that is a very hard lesson to learn, especially when you are in the grind and do what we do, especially. And when people have an opinion of our work as well. It's hard to stick to your guns. So.
Yep. Yeah. So we'll see. Hope I can make it happen. Like I said, I always plan for the best case scenario and then work off of what I'm given after that.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right. We're probably wrapping up here. Any last questions, Becca? I asked a lot of them, but no, I'm good. I'm solid. Good. This has been very enjoyable.
Good. Yeah, definitely. This was fun. This is great. I really appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, thanks for being here. For people that don't already know who the hell you are and they want to find you, where can they find you?
Hammerly Ceramics on Instagram is the best place. I live on Instagram. But other than that, I've found out recently that you can just start typing my last name, Hammerly, into Google, and I pop up pretty quick. Website, Facebook, Pinterest, all the things, except YouTube. There's only like 8 videos there.
When is your next
Not
update?
TikTok.
When's your next update that we know of?
I don't have a day yet because I just had an update like 5 days ago. it's going to be August.
Okay,
It's
cool.
going to be all my new mug design and every conceivable glaze combination I can come up with. What's the date this will go up?
I have no idea.
We have no idea.
We're pretty far out because we're getting ahead of the game. So
that's good. But
we'll try to make it. Shoot us when you do know the date. Let us know, and we'll try to make it right around that time.
You guys got your own schedule and getting ahead of your content. That is.
Yeah, but we're here to help.
I appreciate it.
Not that the people that are listening to our podcast don't already know who you are, but you never know.
Don't say that. Come on.
There's some new people that don't know who Curt is.
What's that?
I said there's got to be some new people that don't know who Curt is that are listening.
Yeah, I mean, I've barely posted on Clay Buddies. I'm sure there's tons of people on there that don't know me.
That's true.
Yeah, definitely.
On lockdown.
All right.
Cool. Well, thanks for being here, and we'll stop the recording, and
Wonderful.
We're good to go. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to another episode of Wheel Talk. If you'd like to follow us on Instagram, you could find the podcast at Wheel Talk Podcast, or you could find myself at RD Ceramics. That's R's in Ryan, D's in Durban, Ceramics.
Or you can find me at 5 Lines Pottery Studio. That's the number 5. And don't forget, share this with your friends, like us on Instagram, and don't forget to write a review. It helps us an awful lot. Thanks.